Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. It's Jeannie. Today I have a fun project to share with you. It's a card I created for a Heffy Doodle and Gerda Steiner blog hop collab. I am using the Heffy Doodle's Hello Squeakheart and their pop-up slider die, along with Gerda Steiner's On the Table and Lovely Pandas set. I'll get into the blog hop details and all of that in a bit, but I wanted to walk you through my process for this card. This is definitely a longer video because I included all the coloring and all the steps for this particular card. So you'll notice that I have a piece of paper that is bigger than an A2 sized card, and I did this because I plan to use the die to cut out the card panel. And I also traced around it so I knew where I wanted the balloons to be placed. I took the lovely panda set from Gerda Steiner, and I will be only using that balloon that the panda is holding. This is a super cute stamp set by itself, but because I only wanted to use the balloons, I am doing a bit of masking. You're just masking off the panda, and it's really easy not to ink up the panda. And I'm using a bit of masking paper just to cover up the balloons that I want. So once I have all the balloons stamped out, I will go ahead and use Speckled Egg Distress Oxide ink just to color up that background. I just wanted a bit of color and I didn't want to leave it completely white because it would look a little bit plain. So I decided to go in with the Distress Oxide color. Once I did that, I also wanted to add a bit of sparkle. So I went in with some Perfect Pearl. I mixed it up with water and splattered it everywhere. I also pulled out the Perfect Pearls in gold as well to add some gold accents, and I thought that it just added a bit extra to the background and gave it that interest and sparkle that it really needed. And to be honest, I actually ended up creating this card 3 times because I just wasn't happy with the background. Sometimes it looks a little too busy, so I was much happier with all the balloons in the background. Because I'm leaving all the coloring in, I am going to talk to you guys about the blog hop as well. Gerda Steiner and Heffy Doodle are two companies that I really enjoy because if you haven't noticed, I really like the cutesy stamp sets, and both of these companies have cutesy stamp sets. I thought that it would be perfect to use On the Table from Gerda Steiner, and the items that I stamped out from that set is the present, the vase of flowers, the cookies, the cupcake, and the cat. From Heffy Doodle's Hello Squeakheart set, I stamped out the little mice, which are super adorable. They are doing a blog hop in collaboration with each other, which I think is super awesome because I have a tendency to mix and match a lot of stamp companies, and I don't do it often enough, but I always love to because not every stamp company will have everything that you would like. It's a good way of getting the most out of your stamps, being able to mix and match. So I really appreciate it whenever a crafty company wants to collab with another crafty company, and you guys can just support every small business that is out there because most of these stamp companies are small businesses. These both are women owned, so I am happy to support both of them. In my description box, I will be leaving my blog link to the blog hop, and you can go throughout the lineup, leave a comment, and you'll be entered for a chance to win gift cards from either the Gerda Steiner shop or the Heffy Doodle shop. It's really simple. The lineup's not very long. I believe there are only 10 stops, and you'll get a ton of inspiration and different ways that the two companies use their products together. So I think that that's always really fun to see when you guys see different companies in one card set and you wouldn't even be able to tell the difference. So I think that my card kind of works really well too because you can't really tell which one belongs to which company, but it's definitely just a really cute card. For my coloring today, I am using Copic markers and I am doing my usual. I have 3 Copic colors for each item. I go in with the darkest color, then with my mid-tone, I'll go in and blend it out and then leave a little bit space for the lightest color and then color up the rest. It's pretty straightforward, but it is fun to watch a card come together, so I decided to leave it in, even though this makes the video a little bit longer and it allows me to be a little bit more chatty throughout. So I hope you don't mind, and of course, if you want to skip to the coloring, I'll try to remember to add the minute mark so you can skip to the interactive portion. Normally, I don't love using dies for interactive cards, but I have this pop-up slider from Heffy Doodle, and I think it is one of the easiest interactive dies to use. It's really straightforward. It'll give you the precise cuts for this type of card. I know that this is a card that I actually have made without the interactive dies before. So if I remember, I will link some of those cards down below as well in case you don't want to get the die. I thought that this was a really fun one. It made it really easy to do, and that's the only reason I did 3 different cards and ended up with this one, because I made it 3 times and had no issues. My main issue was just with the background for the card. I just wasn't really happy with it. So for the interactive portion, you pull it up and it will reveal either images or a sentiment. For this particular card, I am revealing a sentiment. Once I finish coloring all the images in this set, I will actually move on to coloring the balloons, which I'll speed through as well because there are 6 of them and I only show, I think, about 3 of them. If there are further details about the particular coloring style or the coloring technique for balloons, I was thinking about doing like a quick tip for them. I color them the same way. So if you've seen my balloons, I color them exactly the same way almost every single time because that's what I'm comfortable with. And it's a technique that I have learned to really like when I color balloons. It's not always perfect. Sometimes I mess up. I forget to leave areas for the white, but I think that it works well. So with the Copic coloring, you'll notice that I have both my caps off of my Copic marker, and that's because I just recently refilled my Copic markers, and sometimes when I do a fresh refill, I overfill them even though I use a scale. I was thinking about also doing like a quick tip video for how to refill your Copic markers and do Copic cleaning, because as you'll notice with Copic markers, sometimes they kind of build up on the cap and it gets stuck, it doesn't close it very well, and it kind of dries out your marker. There are a few things that I have in the works. I am trying to do more videos that are like long, like this one, and then I wanted to also do quick tips which are shorter and will give you tips for certain things. I was thinking about how to color balloons, how to do an ocean scene. So if you have any things that you want to see, please leave a message down below because it's more helpful if I know what you guys are looking for. And honestly, I haven't been super motivated to make cards because I feel like the cards that I'm creating are kind of all the same. And I don't know if you guys enjoy the actual card process, or do you guys enjoy the actual learning behind it? Because I don't see myself as like a master card maker. I just do this because it's fun for me. It's always been a hobby. I have a full-time job, and so I always have this card making as a side hobby that I do after work to distress, and I just find it really therapeutic to color. So most of my videos are a little bit longer, or most of my videos contain a ton of coloring because I just enjoy it very much. And I've actually tried to figure out a better video setup because I tend to hold my Copic markers straight, so it's harder for you guys to see the actual brush movements of my coloring. And so I am working on that, and hopefully I can get better angles for you. Like I said, I had used this card panel that's a little bit larger than the actual pop-up slider, and that's because the pop-up slider cuts an A2 size cards. So I wanted to be a little bit bigger just so I could cut it out. In addition, I wanted to create a table for the card, and I used a piece of pattern paper which has like a wood grain pattern on it. So I cut out the bottom portion of the table using the die, and I also cut an A2 size portion of the pattern paper so it'll go behind it. I am using that little portion for the bottom of the table to stick right on the front of the card. I also marked off where I wanted my sentiment to be. So I wanted to mix and match the sentiments from both companies' stamp sets. The Happy Birthday is from the Gerda Steiner set, and then the Squeakheart is from the Heffy Doodle set. I am staggering it a bit, and if you follow me, I do not like doing stamp surgery. So I will be masking off using Heffy Doodle's memo tape, which is new to me. I normally use Post-it tape or masking tape, and I actually really like this one. It's not too sticky, and I think that I'll be using this a bit more in my future videos. Once I have that sentiment, then I'll have that whole area ready to go. There's two portions of the interactive die, and this is the second portion, which cuts the pull up channel. I'm just using a piece of white cardstock. It really doesn't matter what color it is because you really won't see it except for when you pull up the card, but this doesn't affect the card scene at all. So once I cut it out with my die machine, I will go ahead and trim it at the very top, and this will go right behind my card panel. So you'll see that I line it up and use the memo tape to hold it in place, and there's a fold for that card panel, and there's a bottom fold that's really small, and I'm using double-sided adhesive just to stick, and this will stick to that white piece of paper right behind it. So the idea is that when you pull the white piece of paper up, it will move up the entire panel and it will reveal that sentiment that's right underneath. For my table, I'm going to go ahead and use some liquid glue to add that pattern paper directly onto the card panel. You definitely could have, masked off that portion and created that table, but I decided just to take pattern paper because I wanted it to be a quick and easy card. I have that second piece of paper that is also the same pattern paper, and that will be the continuation of the card. We're talking about the back of the interactive card right now, and I had actually glued 3 layers deep of cardstock strips together instead of using foam tape, and this worked really well because it's not messy and it's not sticky on the side, and I will go ahead and adhere it to 3 sides of the card. So this will give it the dimension so you can pull up the card. That was really easy to do. I added double-sided adhesive, and I also put it in my MISTI just so I could line it up flush with my A2 card panel right behind it. I have some stamps that I'm just adding to the pull-up portion, and this little portion had cut out with the original card panel, and I'm just stamping the arrow and the pull just so your recipient will know to pull up and reveal that message. So it's really subtle because it just kind of flows into the background. For the balloons, I went in with a pen and just drew the balloon lines. Remember, I used the stamp from Lovely Pandas and it had a panda attached to it. So I didn't want to include the balloon lines, so I thought it would be easy enough to draw them. I had gone ahead and fussy cut all these little items. They were really easy to fussy cut, and I'm just decorating the entire front area. Although I decorated it in a certain way, when I actually glued it down to the card panel, it turned out a little bit different. I also wanted to note that with the cat and the vase, I actually only glued the bottom portion of it since this will be folded up when you pull. I kind of wanted them to peek over, so it's kind of a cool element that is added to the card since it is a pull-up card. And when I show you the mechanism working, it looks really cute because it just looks like the cat is peeking above. So you definitely don't want to glue to that top portion above the fold because you want that image to stick up. So right here, the cat and the vase are sticking up. To finish off the card, I decided to go in with a gray Copic marker just to add a bit of shadowing underneath the items to ground them a little bit. This is definitely a matter of preference. I have a tendency to ground all my items so they don't look like they're just floating in the air. I think that that is just a touch that helps. I also pulled out a white pen to add accents to the balloons, and this just kind of makes them pop a little bit more and look a little bit more dimensional. Since I color it leaving a little light area on the balloons, the white pen just helps accent that. But basically this card is done, and I'm so happy with how it turned out, even though it took me 3 tries to get it to a place where I was just good with it. Sometimes that's what just happens. So I hope you enjoyed this card. Definitely stop by the blog hop for a chance to win some gift cards, and I will see you guys next time with another video. Bye!